Welcome back to our podcast. Today, we're diving into an exciting and adventurous novel called The Prisoner of Zenda by Anthony Hope. It's a story filled with action, danger, and royal intrigue. To help us explore this thrilling tale, we have a special guest joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to talking about The Prisoner of Zenda. It's such an exciting story full of brave heroes, dangerous villains, and plenty of twists and turns.
Let's start by setting the scene. The story takes place in a fictional country called Ruritania. Although Ruritania doesn't really exist, it feels very real with its beautiful castles, forests, and royal traditions. The novel begins with the country preparing for an important event, the coronation of King Rudolph V. But there's a big problem, isn't there?
Yes, there is. King Rudolph V is the rightful king of Ruritania, but his younger half-brother Duke Michael wants the throne for himself. Duke Michael is very ambitious and clever, and many people in Ruritania like him. He's a real threat to King Rudolph's rule.
So already we have a dramatic power struggle between two brothers, King Rudolph and Duke Michael. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. There's another character who looks exactly like King Rudolph.
That's right. The main character, Rudolph Rassendyll, is an Englishman from a wealthy family. He looks almost identical to King Rudolph because of an old family connection. At first, Rassendyll seems like an ordinary man. He's smart and capable but hasn't done anything extraordinary with his life yet.
Exactly. At the beginning of the story, Rassendyll feels bored with his quiet, comfortable life in England. He decides to take a trip to Ruritania as a tourist.
Yes, and that's where the adventure begins. When Rassendyll arrives in Ruritania, people stare at him because of his shocking resemblance to King Rudolph. He doesn't understand why everyone reacts this way at first, but soon he meets two of the king's loyal friends, Colonel Sapt and Fritz.
That's such an exciting moment in the story. Colonel Sapt and Fritz are amazed when they see Rassendyll. They can't believe how much he looks like King Rudolph. Then Rassendyll meets the king himself, and the two men laugh at how they could be twins.
Exactly. They all spend the evening together, eating, drinking, and celebrating. But then something terrible happens. King Rudolph is poisoned by Duke Michael's men.
Oh no, that's a major turning point in the story. The coronation is the next day, and if King Rudolph doesn't attend, Duke Michael will take the throne.
That's when Colonel Sapt comes up with a dangerous and daring plan. He asks Rassendyll to pretend to be King Rudolph at the coronation. At first, Rassendyll is shocked and doesn't want to do it. After all, he's just a tourist, but he realizes how important it is to save the kingdom, so he agrees.
That's such a brave decision. Rassendyll goes from being a quiet tourist to pretending to be a king. That's not an easy task, especially with Duke Michael and his men watching closely.
Yes. And it's very risky. If anyone finds out Rassendyll isn't the real king, Duke Michael's men will try to capture or even kill him. But Rassendyll handles the pressure well, and the coronation is a success.
But that's just the beginning. After the coronation, Rassendyll and his friends discover that the real King Rudolph is being held prisoner in the castle of Zenda. Duke Michael has kidnapped him to make sure he can take the throne.
Exactly. Now Rasendil has two huge challenges. First, he must continue pretending to be the king, and second, he has to find a way to rescue the real king from the heavily guarded castle. It's a dangerous mission, and Duke Michael will stop at nothing to keep the king imprisoned.
This part of the story is filled with suspense and action. There are sword fights, secret plans, and moments where Rasendil's courage is truly tested.
Yes, and it's so exciting. Rasendil works with Colonel Sapt, Fritz, and other allies to plan the rescue. Along the way, he also meets Princess Flavia, the king's fiancée. She becomes very important to the story, and Rasendil grows close to her.
So, does Rasendil succeed? Does he save the real king?
Yes, after many challenges and close calls, Rasendil successfully rescues King Rudolph from the castle of Zenda. Duke Michael is defeated, and the king takes back his throne. It's a triumphant and dramatic ending.
That's incredible. But what happens to Rasendil after all this?
Rasendil returns to England, but he's no longer the same man. He started as a bored, ordinary tourist, but he became a hero who showed great courage and honor. He learned the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult.
That's such a powerful message. The Prisoner of Zenda is not just a story about adventure and danger, it's also about bravery, sacrifice, and doing the right thing.
Exactly. It's an exciting novel that also teaches us valuable lessons about life, courage, and responsibility.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing this wonderful story. I think our listeners will love reading The Prisoner of Zenda and going on this thrilling adventure.
Thank you for having me. I hope everyone enjoys this classic and unforgettable story.
And that's all for today's episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time for more exciting stories. Goodbye.